here today just to salute you, and especially I want to salute a couple of veterans here. This is a 12 coin, the symbol of unity between the Seahawks and the 12s, and especially with veterans. So, sir, you first. So the 12s and the Seahawkers started back in '76, but they really became a powerhouse in the last 10, 20 years. Yolanda's been a great leader of the Seahawkers. We've got booster clubs all over the place, from Germany, Latin America, and here in Seattle, of course. But those 40 chapters really carry on what the Seahawks are trying to do in the community around the world. And it's a lot better to have an army of people doing these things. In Houston, it was for, they raised money for foster youth, right? Back in DC, they raised money for a veterans cause serving homeless vets. So these people are taking the Seahawks community mission and carrying it out everywhere in the country. And also, as Steve may have seen, a lot of our road games, we have thousands of Seahawkers and Seahawks in the stands cheering us on, almost like a spec in the Kingdom Day. So thank you, Yolanda, for everything you guys do. And would you like to say anything about the Seahawkers? I know you can join, right?
Yes, you can. And actually, that's why we have Northwest Seattle hosting this today, is so that if you have any questions in regards to membership, David Moody and his crew is here, and I have actually membership forms and benefits, what the benefits offer in regards to membership. It's $15 for an individual, and it's $25 for a family of 4. And so if you have any questions in regards to what we do within the community, please speak to David and his crew or me. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about what we do in the communities and such. But yes, as you may not know the history of the Booster Club, back in the day when it started, it actually was mimicked after the Indianapolis Colts Booster Club, and they had gone, they had these fans together who wanted to, of course, put this organization together, and they did. And the only one that's actually in existence in regards to the original 6 is I believe South Sound, which is our Lakewood chapter. So that's been in existence ever since the team was put together. And we are 10,000 strong as of December. But remember, the stadium holds over 60,000 fans. Why don't we have 60,000? So I have a large goal. I have very large goals, lofty goals. And so I absolutely love the team. I love working with Mike. His crew have been absolutely very supportive in this past couple of years that I've been president. And prior to that, I was secretary for about 3.5 years. So I absolutely love this organization and all that they do within the community. And I plan on actually staying on and actually as a volunteer and continuing the work within the Seattle area, where I will be moving to this weekend. It's a privilege to be a part of this event, and we look forward to, of course, doing this again next year. Okay?
Right now, the person you've been waiting for 6 years as a player, 39 years radio, and analyzing our games, Steve Raible. Steve, please come on up.
Let me do 2 things first. First, I want to say hi and say it is so great to see so many familiar faces again. It has been several years since we've been here because of COVID, and God bless all of you who have stayed on and are still with us and are still enjoying not only what the Seahawks do, but enjoying each other's company, enjoying, we hope, good health, and are here, and we can all get together again in the years to come. And by the way, if I need to speak louder, you guys just let me know, okay? I was yelling last night. Unfortunately, it didn't quite win the game. But, so if I need to speak louder, I can find it somewhere. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, remember in the years past, how many have done this before? How many have been with us at this event before? So a number of you. You'll know that I used to come here right before I'd go to work in Cairo. So I always had my coat and tie on, and I was all prepared and looked like I was ready to work. Well, I'm of the retired group now. And so jeans that have a little stretch band in them, an old shirt, and I apologize for not shaving. I'm also dealing with a hot water tank that is gone away, and so I showered yesterday at a friend's house. And for those of you that have been married a long time, like me and my wife, 40 years, you know your wife better not be without hot water for very long, or somebody's going to pay the price. In this case, it's going to be my behind if I don't get this fixed. So I apologize for not being quite up to snuff here, but anyway, I know I was among friends. And speaking of friends, that's why we're all here today. Aside from the camaraderie of this group, aside from having a lunch and to be able to see these nice folks like Mike and Suzanne and the rest, we're here to honor a gentleman who I considered a contemporary. He was just a touch younger than me, but I watched him play from the time he was a puppy and all the way through his career and what he did for the Seahawks, and maybe more importantly, no, in fact, I know more importantly, what he did for the team and the community after his playing days. Nesby Glasgow was a phenomenal person. He was a great football player. Pound for pound, nobody hit harder, I don't believe, than Nesby Glasgow. Now, happily, he never hit me. But there were a lot of guys I know who he hit, and they stayed hit for a long time after that. But Nesby was more than that. Nesby was a guy who went to work with Mike and the team and was a part of the organization after his playing days. And we were so saddened to hear of his passing. And he fought just like he played. He fought hard. But unfortunately, the cancer caught up with him. And so the Seahawks and Suzanne figured who could be a better person to represent this award that's going to be presented now yearly to a volunteer, someone who, like Nesby, went to every one of these events. Much like back in the 76 days, where's Yolanda? I think she had to step out. But, oh, there she is in the back. Back in the days, back in 76, when I first started with the team, the first year, we went to all the Seahawkers groups. A young guy like me learned how to speak in front of a group by going to those organizations and standing up there and talking. And that led to a 39-year career in television and radio. So I appreciate all that the Seahawkers have done over the years. This award represents not only them, not only the volunteers, not only the Seahawks, but the spirit of what this community is all about. And so we look forward to presenting that award. We're not going to tell you quite yet, but we want to have you meet a couple of people right now, including Alonzo Brandon. Oh. Okay, all right. So I'm going to have Zoe come up first and say a couple of words about Nesby, and then we'll come back up. We'll talk a few more minutes, answer a few questions, and then we'll make our presentation. For those of you that, well, if you've been here before, you know Alonzo Mitz, one of the fine defensive tackles in this franchise history, one of the great guys, and a guy who kind of has taken the mantle after Nesby and is everywhere that there is an event. This guy is there. And he is another one who you really want to stay on his good side. He might have a little gray now in the goatee area, but I got a feeling he can still sack a quarterback if necessary. Ladies and gentlemen, Alonzo Mitz.
I came over to the Seahawks in 1986. And when my first year here, I realized by the fans that this is where I basically wanted to be. I've been to other teams, but I always came back because you guys here in the Northwest made me feel very comfortable. You know, meeting guys like Steve, Mike Flood, and so on. I mean, these guys welcomed me here, and it made me want to be here to assist as Nesby to make a difference. Nesby pretty much was basically my best friend. And I'm just going to tell a short story. I'm not going to take up too much time. But he was my best friend, and I can explain to you why. As he aged, we kind of went through a concussion program for his memory and what have you. And Nez and I played golf, a lot of golf. Did I say golf? A lot of golf. And one day we finished playing golf, and we came to the truck, and I dropped my clubs off. So Nesby jumped back in the cart and took off. And, you know, going wherever he was going. So after the fourth time, after he passed by, I said, Nez, what are you doing? He goes, I'm looking for my car. I said, Nez, you roll with me. So I was like, and it was such a, it's funny, but sad at the same time. And as we were sitting there and I was loading his cart in the back, so I took the cart back and I kept thinking. So he began to really cry because his memory was slipping. So both of ours, in a sense. So I took the car back and I jumped in the truck, and as I was going out of the parking lot, I started driving through the parking lot. And he said, what are you doing? I go, I'm looking for your car. But it's just those little small things that it's sad but happy at the same time. And we laugh all the way home. But he was that type of guy. He was always there. We had a lot of laughs and a lot of fun, and I'm going to miss him, truly. Truly, I miss him each and every day. Because he used to give me a couple more things, but not anymore. But it was being here, though, in the sense is, you guys made me feel totally welcome. I feel just as welcome I did when I came back in '86. I came out of college, a little older than I think, so a few grades. But you guys do that for me, and that's why I keep coming back. Because I'm trying to, I have what's called the Mitz Project tournament, charity, and all I'm doing is basically making a difference. That's it. I feel if you're making a difference in anything that you're doing, going this direction, you're making a difference. And that's all we need to do. So that's what it is, to make a difference. So I'll leave it at that. I'm sure there's a whole lot more we can talk about. Do we want to answer any questions, quick questions that anyone might have? Or
Yeah, we have some time right now. Yes, ma'am. By the way, thank you for your service.
How can you fix the Seahawks issue today?
Thanks. You ask for questions and then you walk away. But by the way, let me ask you one question before I answer that. Don't let me not answer that. There was a story I heard about Zoe as a player. And you tell me if this is true, because I've told this story before. If it's not true, I'm going to stop telling it. But didn't you, during the game, have part of your, part of your, upper bridge or something, and you just kept playing right through it? I mean,
okay, I'll be quick.
Yeah.
It wasn't quick. I had to play all four quarters. In Kansas, it was played in Christian Okoye. Nesby tattooed Christian Okoye several times. And like I said, he hit hard. And I hit pretty hard too, but this particular play, they started running away from me because of injury, couldn't play. And they started running away from me. So I had to chase Christian Okoye down. So I chased Christian Okoye down, and I went to tackle him all the way down, and I tackled him with my teeth. It knocked all 4 of these teeth up in my mouth. So I come to the sideline and Jim White's goes, he says, Zoe, where's your teeth? nah, nah. I did not know the teeth help you talk at that time. She said, so where's your teeth? Okay, nah, nah. So I said a few things that I couldn't say. So I think I pulled them down with the mouthpiece.
Oh.
Mouthpiece in my mouth as well. And then I taped up my mouthpiece to where I could bite down and play the rest of the game. That was first quarter.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah, when you think that sometimes these guys aren't as tough as they appear, and trust me, as a wide receiver, I admire these guys because I stayed as far away from all that stuff as I could. But I knew that story was true, and it's just, it gives you a sense for what these guys do. And it also gives you a sense for, as Zoe just told the story about Ned, that at some point, in many cases, for many of us former players, and we both have great friends who are kind of going through this with the brain injury issues and that sort of thing. And so we all try to be very supportive of that. But back to your question, man, about can we help the Seahawks or something along those lines? Here's the deal, as I see it. This has been a really strange year, a difficult year. A year that started out really, really well against Indianapolis. Look how Indianapolis is playing. Look at the teams that Indianapolis right now is beating. Knowing that the Seahawks went into Indianapolis opening day and beat them handily on their own field, doing basically everything right. Gave up a few too many yards on defense, but we've sort of been doing that all season long. But the defense has finally worked things out. For the last 6-8 games, we have averaged giving up only 20 points. You should win football games when you give up only 20 points. So a lot of this I put on the offense, and for a number of different reasons. We've got a new offensive system. Those things just don't happen. It takes a while to get that up and running. Russell, regardless of how quickly he healed, and he is amazing what he did to come back and play. But he just wasn't quite ready when he got back. So we had a string of 3 weeks where he didn't play, 3 weeks after that. When we finally got to 7 weeks, he was starting to really start to throw the ball well. And then you come to the now in the stretch run of your season, and several of the games that you have to play are against division opponents, Los Angeles last night, and Arizona, final game of the season. In years past, we would be fighting the Rams for the lead in the division. Unfortunately, this season we're not. Number of injuries. You lose Chris Carson the first couple of weeks. He's the guy you built this offense around, and suddenly he's gone. Last night, you don't have Tyler Lockett playing. I love DK Metcalf, and he makes a lot of great plays. But to my thinking, Tyler Lockett is the most important receiver we have because of the things that he can do, because of how he can get open and help his quarterback when he was having trouble last night of finding anybody who could get open. So those are a couple things. We need to be better running the ball. But, we got guys hurt. Collins was on the COVID list last night. This is, I'm afraid, what you're going to see for the stretch run of the season is teams are going to have two lists. One is the list of players who they can put on the field. The other is the list of players who have COVID and won't play. And I'm going to turn it back over to Zoe because this is the guy about my hot water heater. I'm going to answer this question real fast, and I'll be right back.
Can I say one word? We've got a traffic jam out here, and I need somebody that has the gold van AAP 0812 that's blocking our van. The van needs to get out, and then we have another car, and the people can't get up the road to their apartment. And it's a black sedan that's parked out here and back. If I could have you move those, I would really appreciate it. Dodge. Okay, the one blocking the van is a Dodge, a tan gold Dodge. And we need that with AAP 0812. And then there's a black car parked out here that needs to move too so that the person can get to their house. Thank you. Sorry.
To answer her question a little bit, is I believe in energy. Okay, this year we might be snipped out a little bit, but I think let's come back next year with a stronger created energy. Let's stay in the boat. Let's continue to push them to do the best. And when I say by that is created energy of
Access just pulled in.
a little bit. Oh, you got a thought? Okay, just create a bit of different energy to move us forward. Keep the energy solid.
I have a question, and I don't know a lot about football, but it seems to me the Rams got a little break because they couldn't get, I guess, too many of their team members had COVID, and so they postponed it for until Tuesday.
To yesterday.
Well, so if we had won the game, then that would have meant we had a very short recovery period before we'd have to play the next game. And it seems to me that if you don't have enough team members, you have to forfeit the game. That's what I learned in school. A lot of years ago.
There's a couple ways to look at it. She's asking about postponing the game when the Rams had like 20, 29,
Yeah.
29, something like that.
Forfeit it.
Yeah, but playing these games is so important. And if you play on a Tuesday, it's a lot. In fact, it's one day better than playing Sunday and then Thursday. There are Thursday night games nowadays, so it's not unheard of to make that turnaround. If you play on Sunday and then have to play again on Thursday. So for us and for the Rams, you play on Tuesday, you get 5 days until the next Sunday. It is tough though. You're right.
I've absorbed this saying in my mind that, you know, they don't care about my feelings. So by not caring about their feelings, you absorb that long enough, you'll figure it out. Don't take it personal.
Okay, let's
That's it.
clarify just a second. We have a little bit of emergency here. It is a Lincoln sedan right here in the alleyway, and we gave the license plate number a second ago.
What
But
color is it?
it's kind of a bronzy, dark
Is
brown.
that you? Okay, thank you. We found them.
Okay, thank you. We got a couple angry people out there, and I didn't want you to get towed away, so
Come in for lunch.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So you got a
Well,
question?
not to put you on the spot, but do you think Russell Wilson will end his career in Seattle?
I hope so.
Yeah,
That's all I can say.
there's so many rumors out there, like last year, and he came back to this, but now he says, I'm here for what could happen? Hopefully, right?
Hopefully,
Yeah, hopefully. The crystal ball, we don't have the crystal ball for that.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping.
Let me ask you a
Tough
question. You talked about playing in pain like that. Talk about when you talk to kids. What do you try and impart to kids about perseverance and putting up with trouble but forging ahead? What's your philosophy?
My philosophy is that the kids that pretty much perseverance towards moving forward. Most things is not as bad as sometimes they appear to be, and some things are as bad as it appears to be. It's a catch-22, but what you do is you just keep that mental mindset, moving forward. Kind of like with Mark, who decided to save the Seahawks. He had no way in the world the fact of fighting through it, but he didn't give up. That's what makes a difference. You don't give up. You continue to fight through it. That's why I said you create that energy, because there's always someone going to tell you what you can't do and what you shouldn't do. But you know it's right in your heart. You make the difference. I tell kids all the time, they probably say, "You're a coach. Why are you telling me to clean my room? Why are you telling me to take out the trash? Why are you telling me, to make you do all your chores?" Those being you discipline, you can discipline and do those things. You can play football for me or with me, because it shows the fact that you care about your family. It's about family. We all are from somewhere else. In the way you look at it, we all are from somewhere else. But we're in this thing together. You see the TV doing what the TV does. The media will make you or break you. But the point is that we're still in this thing together. We're fighting this thing together. You know, the pandemic did not just pick on a couple of people. It picked on a lot of us. But we still fought this together, and we're still here together. As long as you're fighting and creating an energy that's going to move you forward, you're going to be okay. You're going to lose a few along the way, but the point is that you got to fight, and there's no fight left. And the next person who beside you, who you feel ain't fighting hard enough, you grab them by the arm, or you pick up them by the butt, whatever. You take them with you. And that's what it doesn't matter what color they are or how different they are. You fight together, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
We've got a presentation coming in a while. We're still waiting for some of our guests to show up, but does anybody else have a question that they would like to ask? I want to ask Steve.
Yes.
What was it like to play with Steve Largent?
As the other Steve, I can answer that question. I can tell you this. Steve Largent and I were roommates my rookie season, and on the road. So you share a hotel room. And even at 23, we're the same age. So at 22, 23, he snored louder than anybody I ever met. He would snore so loud that geese would hit the door. It was just awful. It took me one season before I pawned him off on Zorn. And then I started a room with Sam Atkins. How many remember Sam Atkins, our backup quarterback? There, bingo. Number 12, Sam Atkins. He likes to say that they retired his jersey, but Sam was like me. He was on the sideline so much he was made an honorary Seagull. So, but anyway, so Largent was, I kid him, but until Tyler Lockett, Doug Baldwin was a really good one too, really good. But Tyler Lockett has so much of the same characteristics of Steve Largent. Not big, faster than he looks, way tougher than he looks, can take a hit and pop right back up off the ground, catches everything that's close by. That was the thing about Largent. Jack Patera told me once, he looked at me and he said, Raible, you catch the ball just as well as Largent, just not as often. and he was absolutely right. Steve Largent was phenomenal. I mean, think about this. When Steve Largent retired in 1989, he held the records for touchdown receptions for receivers. Now, it was later broken by Jerry Rice, who is only in the Hall of Fame now, but so is Steve. Steve was the most accomplished receiver in the National Football League for his generation through the 70s, late 70s, and into the 80s. So, and he's a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You can't say enough good about what Steve not only meant to football in Seattle, but what he's meant to the organization in general and to our community. And he's still a great friend. We still talk on the phone. That's one of the things, as Zoe and I get older, we find that you make friends, these brothers that you've made, that you play football with all those years. And you pick up the phone, or during COVID, we had a Zoom one time where there were 8 of us from that 76, 77 team. So I'm looking at all these other guys, and of course I'm one of them that they're looking back at. And I just was amazed. A, how old we all have gotten. But B, how much we just jumped right back into, hey, remember that time that, and do you remember that story about, and what about when we beat, and it's just like we never left. I'll give you a quick, you told the story about looking for the car with Ned. I'll give you one of those looking for stories. While I was playing, we had a guard, and he'd be fine with me telling you this story, because I'll explain why. A guy named Bob Newton, his nickname was Fig, for obvious reasons, Fig Newton. So Fig was a guard, and we got him from the Chicago Bears. They cut him right before the start of the 76 season, our first year. And so he came to Seattle not knowing anything about us or the team, and quite frankly, we didn't know him. And so he came and became a starter day one at left guard and stayed there for the 6 years of my career. Bob enjoyed Tuesday was our day off in the league, right? You play a game on Sunday. Tuesday was your day off. So Monday night was the night if you wanted to go out and maybe have an adult beverage and chat with friends and that sort of thing. So Bob enjoyed his adult beverages. He calls me one morning, Tuesday morning, at 8 o'clock. I'm sleeping. He calls me and wakes me up. Hey, Raves, what are you doing? I said, well, I was sleeping just about 12 seconds ago. He said, can you take me to pick up? His van was called Overtime. He said, can you go take me to get my van? He said, I had to park it. I had a little too much to drink last night, and I ran into a couple of Redmond police officers at a 7-Eleven, and they took me home. And I left my van. He said, I want to go pick it up. I said, sure, I'll be over. I'll grab it. So I went over to get him. I said, okay, where are we going? He said, well, the 7-Eleven. I said, well, Bob, which 7-Eleven? And he said, well, I don't remember. And so I said, Bob, do you know how many 7-Elevens there are on the east side? And I said, I'm sure there's a bunch. We hit 6 7-Elevens before we found his van. He said, oh, yeah, there it is. Thanks. After like an hour and 20 minutes, and, we were driving all over the east side to find his van. I can tell you that story, and we can laugh about it now, because when Bob retired, he ended up going into the Betty Ford Clinic to get himself clean. And he became a counselor. And for 35 years, he just retired as one of their best, most important counselors at the Betty Ford Clinic down in California. And he calls once a month just to see how I'm doing and see how he loves my wife Sharon and to see how Sharon is doing. And I always ask him, who did you help today? And he always has, he can't tell me specifics obviously for confidentiality reasons, but just tells me about the folks that he is able to help. And like a guy like Zoe, that's what these guys have done with their lives after football. They have made such a difference in their communities, in this community, Largent back in his hometown of Tulsa. It's just such a pleasure to be a part of an organization that thinks this way, believes in these things, and that we can all kind of get behind.
Steve, I've got something in that regard. There's an organization called Merging Vets and Players. It takes veterans and players, puts them together. They work out for an hour, and then they talk for an hour about what it's like, what they miss. And what they miss is a sense of having a mission and the camaraderie of the military or of playing. And I'm sure for any of us, when you leave a job that you've enjoyed for a long time, you're going to miss that camaraderie. So, Steve, you started with Cairo right after you. How did that fill in the gap of having purpose?
Well, it was amazing because I literally went to work at Cairo 5 days after I retired from football. And the only reason I retired, and for those of you that have been here before, you've heard me tell this story, but I retired because Pete Gross called me at home in June of 1982 and said, hey, my analyst on the radio broadcast just left and went to the 49ers, Don Heinrich, former Husky great, Don Heinrich. And he said, and because he knew I had done radio and television for the last 3 years while I was playing, I was filling in on radio and TV shows because this is what I decided I wanted to do. And he said, we'd love to have you come do the radio broadcast. Plus, there are 2 jobs at Cairo TV. They think that you could fit right into those spots. The problem is you're going to have to quit playing football. And I had a collapsed lung in my last year that put me out for 6 weeks. Came back and played after 6 weeks. But, a collapsed lung is not much fun. And then I had some torn ligaments in my ankle that last year. So it wasn't a great season for me in 1981. At any rate, I had this opportunity, and he talked to Sharon. Pete did talk to Sharon, my wife, and she said, well, when do you need to know? And he said, well, in the next couple of weeks. And she said, I'll have him there Monday. So there you go. Monday, I was at Cairo. It did, Mike. It did fill in that gap. We all know players who sort of have some issues after they retire about what's my purpose in life. I mean, I have my family, but I'm so used to the structure and the camaraderie and the all pulling in the same direction. So much like services. By the way, if you guys didn't know, Mike, what rank did you reach?
I was a commander in the Coast Guard, flew airplanes and helicopters for 22.
So this is a guy who is Mike every time we see him for his service, and he, more than anybody that I have ever seen in the National Football League, reaching out to the armed forces and making us, the Seahawks, a part of what the armed services do, what servicemen and women around the world, not just here, because he's been all over the place with our players to visit men and women in service around the world. So thank you, Mike, for your service. And it is that brotherhood and sisterhood that we all look for, and that's one of the great things about what you guys have here. You have that here as well. You can come together and pass the COVID issues as long as we're all vaccinated and boosted. We'll put these back on as soon as we're done talking to you. But this is that for each other. And that's what we've all experienced in our lives, and our service members here the same way.
And Alonzo, for you, when you retired, or how in your community work, how does that feel about you?
It's like Steve was just saying, you got that void, and you look around. Everybody got a purpose, but you wonder what that purpose is. You're like, why am I here? And I evaluated. I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. So by being here for you, by me coming out into the community and doing my part, is what makes that difference for me. So, it was simple for me. I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. And when a person gets that mindset, you got to fill that void, and that was easy for me to fill it. Because once I'm in the public, dealing with the public, helping and assisting and making a difference, as part of my community.
You know, that's again, the service members, your organization here, a football team. When you ask a football player, who do you play for? Well, I play for my family and I play for the organization. But I play for that guy that's next to me, that brotherhood. I don't want to let him down. He doesn't want to let me down. Just as we don't want to let each other down. And so when it means keeping each other safe, that's what we want to do. And when it comes to helping each other, today, these young people who are helping serve us, by the way, I haven't had my hamburger yet and dessert, so not kidding. Zoe is not kidding. Are we okay? Suzanne, we're all right? Okay, Brandon's here? Okay. So again, remember we talked about the award that we're going to present right here today for the first time, honoring Nesby Glasgow in his service. We have one of his children here today. Brandon, wonderful young man. I knew him when he was like here. Now he's got a beard. He's got to be old for crying out loud. He's got to be. Brandon, I turn it over to you for a couple of minutes to talk about your father, how much he meant to all of us, certainly how much he meant to you, and what this award means for. What do you think it would mean for your dad? What does it mean for your family?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Honestly, it's a blessing. And my father, I think most of you probably met him. And if you haven't, he's a very infectious person.
I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. So my father, I hope most of you have met him. He's a very infectious person. One thing about him is he was always teaching us to give back and to help others, whether it was family or random people. He just had a very big heart. And that's something that he instilled in me, my brother, and my sister growing up, to show compassion and be someone to help. And I think this award is really great. It's an honor to him. It really embodies who he was, because he was always self-serving and giving his time and coming to places. And for the award winner of this, after I've read everything about this person, it seems like a perfect fit that person should be the winner of this award. And we're proud of all the accomplishments that my father's done, and very happy. Sad that he had to leave when he did, but at the same time, I'm sure he'd probably shed a tear right now.
Brandon, if I'm not mistaken, the family had a hand in making this decision. Yes,
Absolutely.
You helped look at
the name.
Yeah, please don't drop the name yet. And so what did that mean for the family to have a hand in sort of saying, and especially this, the very first one?
Honestly, that was an honor. I mean, there were a lot of things we did not get to do for my father that we wanted to due to COVID and when he passed. So, you know, getting the call to sit down on the committee that actually gets to do this was, you know, and we were able to share our experiences, you know, actually talk about what he meant to us. I remember after speaking with my sister and brother, I mean, you know, it was a very heartfelt moment because we don't get to express that a lot. I don't talk about it too much. You know, it's just one of those things, but to be able to actually talk and hear their side of it as well, and everyone's is much more. It was just very deep. It was healing. It was very healing, to be honest, you know, and I think a lot of times you have to do stuff like that. So, you know, this is wonderful. You know, I'm honored to be a part of it. My brother and sister are honored to be a part of it as well. And in the family, we really, really appreciate everything.
So Brandon, Suzanne, are you ready for me to?
I am ready.
You are? Okay. So you're standing up here. Did Blitz ever make it?
He's on his way.
All right. Well, he'll be
Well,
here.
you blew the surprise song.
Well, he's going to be here. Sorry about that. But at some point, these folks are going to be done with dinner and lunch. It's going to be time for dinner. So we want to be sure that we get this going. So here we go.
Absolutely.
We are going to announce the winner now. And I'm going to make sure that I'm going to kind of read it off of here because I want to make sure I get everything just exactly right. So we've got Suzanne up here. We've got the family up here. Zoe is represented. Mike is back here. The Seahawkers are here, and all of you are here. This year, the first annual award goes to someone who is a tireless advocate for seniors and their families. No matter what is happening in the senior elder care community, this person is always there to support and sponsor causes that our community, families, and the seniors that she serves. After considerable discussion with a 7-member committee, including family, it was ultimately a unanimous decision on who the first recipient of this annual award will be. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating our winner, Kelly Smith, Vice President. Nesby Glasgow Essence Award.
Come on, Cal. We are serious, girlfriend.
Absolutely. Ella's got your name on it. You got to take it. Kelly, congratulations.
Well, just like Steve, I didn't shake today, but I had hot water. I would have shaved if I would have known this was happening. You gotta be kidding me right now.
So, let me tell you something. When a single candle takes one candle to light the darkness,
Yes.
right? We have spent almost 2 years in a scenario where there's been one of the brightest candles of all in our industry, and that is this woman. And I am so honored to have her very dear friend Sean, who is going to tell you a little story about Kelly, so you guys all know.
Are you kidding me right now?
Hello, everyone. So I'm Sean D'Amelio. I've been in the senior industry for about 20 years, and I'm in what I like to call early retirement right now. And my husband's disputing that with me a little bit, but we'll get by that. But I came out of retirement to talk about this woman because she is a good egg. And I'm going to do my best not to get emotional because I can't look at her, obviously. So I met Kelly. My husband likes to joke that I always like to have coffee with people. And I would say, I'm cool, you're cool, let's have coffee. That's what he would say to me. I'm cool, you're cool, let's have coffee. Well, that's exactly how I met Kelly. Was we had coffee from a dear friend of ours who introduced us, right?
Yeah.
Posey Parker. And she was a good woman, and we had a good coffee. It was interesting, and we both left, and we both had different thoughts about what was going to happen next. And my next thought was, So that's totally true. And about a week later, I called her and I said, well, hey, Cal, I have an idea. I think we should be power partners. We should go out and market together. And she was kind of like, what does that even mean? So we met for coffee again, and we started talking. And what I learned very quickly about Kelly is that Kelly is a really honorable woman. And I'm going to read a little and I'm going to talk a little bit. So if I get off track, just bring me back. I had pictures. I'm quite disappointed I couldn't share all the pictures with you. But
I'm not.
Kelly's not. So Kelly's a really honorable woman who is a good steward of her company's money, so that she can offer seniors and those in need a home for less money. They have the biggest floating Medicaid bed license in the state of Washington, and what that means is that when they say you can move in, and if you run out of money, you will be able to stay there. And they mean what they say. That floating Medicaid bed license, a lot of organizations will say, oh sure, we'll help you if you run out of money, but what they really mean is they'll help you to the door. And they don't honor, they'll say that their Medicaid beds are full. But with Kelly's company, what they do is they float their Medicaid bed license up so that they can honor their word and be true to who they are and who they are as a company. And it's one of the reasons Kelly left another company to go to this company, was that she wanted to be honorable. One of the qualities I admire most about working with her is that when Kelly said what she meant and she meant what she said. You see, Kelly does most of her work behind the scenes. She's kind of helping the people that are in daily contact with the seniors. That said, I often got Kelly to dress up in crazy outfits, and she'd never dressed up in her whole life until I said to her one day, let's go out. I have this idea. Let's go out and visit senior communities. I'm going to be a kitchen witch. How about if you be a kitty cat? She looks like a kitty cat, doesn't she? So I had this idea in my head that Kelly was going to show up with a little pair of ears. But no, not Kelly. When I walked into her community, Kelly had full face paint on, a full outfit, a tail, big head. She went all out. She looked like she belonged on Broadway and in the production of Cats. So that was our first time of dressing out and going out to visit senior communities. We'd go out to communities and we'd go out to skilled nursings and visit people that were in beds that didn't get a lot of activity and couldn't get out, and it was great fun. But we always started at her community. And what I love best, and this really tells a lot about who Kelly is as a person, is that everyone in her community knows who she is. They're all vying for her time when she comes in, and they always want to have their picture taken with us. That time we were the kitty and the kitchen witch. The next time she showed up as a full-blown turkey. Literally a turkey. We had so much fun going out and visiting people. We did all kinds of things. Let's see. One of the things that we went as gardeners one year, and one of the stories I like to tell, it was a very dear story. It was a woman end of life, and she was sitting there with her family. We walked in, and we were gardeners, and we had our garden basket full of fresh vegetables. And the woman opened one eye. She's sitting there with her family. She opened one eye, and she looked at us like this. And then she opened the other eye. And then she sat up, and she said, my mother was a gardener. And from there, she started going through pictures and pulled out a picture of her mother, who was a gardener, with a big carrot. She had carrots that were the biggest carrots I'd ever seen. And her family members were looking at us like, what just happened here? Because we didn't hear another word out of her. There were moments like that. We also, I have to keep referring to my notes because I get off track, but we had another lady that was very dear, and she didn't have very many visitors. And Kelly, one day, she got in the car. We got in the Momobile, because that's my van, is the Momobile. And we always did everything in the Momobile. And we got in the van, and she was very excited with herself. And she goes, You're not going to believe what I got. And every outfit, no matter whether she was a turkey, a cat, whatever, she always had her Chucks on.
I own over 40 pairs
And
of Converse.
she does not have her Chucks on today, which I'm surprised. But so she got in the car. She had got this woman a pair of Chucks and all these goodies to do in her room because she couldn't get out of her room. And it was so dear. And every time we would leave there, it was always with tears in her eyes. And shortly thereafter, mine. We always spent a little extra time in that room. I stood beside Kelly. Kelly hired a harpist to go with us, bedside harpist to go with us. And we've been bedside by people who were using at their last minute of life, and their family are asking for the harpist to play a song. And literally, because of Kelly, she was playing the most beautiful song for this woman at her daughter's request while she went into her next life. And that was all because of Kelly. And the harpist also at another bedside, a woman who had not been out of bed for many, many months, literally, if you remember this, sat up and sang opera for us. And it took a bit to get her up and singing, but she did it. And that was also because of Kelly. When Kelly dressed up as Santa, I was her elf. We're walking down the halls of skilled nursing and we hear over the loudspeaker, "Santa is in the house." And this one lady looks at me and she goes, "You know, Santa always gets all the credit." And I said, "I know, isn't that the truth?" Santa,
Can I tell the story
yes,
on
you
this?
can tell them.
Okay, so we go into this room and this old gentleman in his bed goes, "Hey, can you get that elf a little closer to me?" And I said, "You got $20?" So he reaches for his wallet and goes, "Sean, come here, this old guy wants to meet you." So anyway, she didn't find out about it until we got in the car, but I got money.
You did. That's her. She's also very irreverent. I never quite knew what Kelly was going to say when she was out there, but she always knew her audience. That is for sure. Everyone Kelly ever engaged was drawn to those big blue eyes, her outrageous laughter, and big personality. This is amazing for someone who is such an introvert, because Kelly truly is an introvert, if you can hardly believe it. Well, maybe you can't by the way she's staring at the floor right now. Kelly is truly an advocate. She always puts her money where her mouth is. She has supported the Alzheimer's Association, the American Parkinson's Disease Association, the Washington Therapy Doodles, Art of Alzheimer's, Caregiver Education, the LGBT, the Washington Home Care Association, you name it, and she has supported it. I can't ever remember making a flyer for a conference or anything else we were doing where I didn't say, "Kelly, would you be willing to support that?" And she'd give us the "yes, ma'am, we will." Kelly shows up both physically and financially for people who do the work behind the scenes and provides support for educational opportunities for social workers, nurses, physical therapists, occupational therapists, and caregivers. Kelly works hard to provide educational opportunities with leading trainers like famous specialists Tika Snow and Annie Jacobs. I can't tell you how many continuing education credits we provided for free to persons who needed them. I'm confident that we probably did well over 10,000 probably credits, CEUs for people. Kelly is a no BS kind of gal. Kelly, she will tell you how it is straight up. She's a get her done kind of woman. We would be in the car, aka the Momobile, dressed up like something crazy, and I would say, "Hey, you know what we should do? We should make labels with our logos on them and have them say, 'You are my sunshine,' and take song cards out and sing with the residents." 5 minutes later, she'd say, "Okay, they're done." And I'd say, "What? What are you talking about?" And she said, "I ordered them." That's the kind of person she is. She's a get her done kind of gal. I suppose it's also worth mentioning that one day Kelly was watching the concert. Who in this room knows who Meatloaf is? Woo! So, I'm very sorry that I don't have my pictures today because I did have a side by side because as her niece was sitting there watching Meatloaf with her, her niece kept going like this.
My 18-month-old niece thought I was
Looking at the TV and then looking back at her. So then I did side by side for her. It was very good. It was very fun.
the words right out.
Yes. Yeah. Very good. That was good. Kelly is humble. She's always surrounded herself with people she believes are smart, go-getters. She gives them autonomy and believes in them. If they have an idea, she instantly thinks it's a good idea and lets them prove it. Her team are like her kids. You better not say a dang word about them or the mama bear in her comes out. Kelly has a kind and generous heart.
That made you cry?
She's a loyal friend. And you know Kelly, you know she's about giving and love with a Scottish temper.
It's actually Irish.
That's right, I bet that. If I needed something, I know who I'd call. I'd call the 12th woman.
Thank you.
Kelly.
So how's that for our first award recipient?
Yeah.
Hi, girlfriend. Hang on, let me take your picture with Brandon. Nicole, where are you? There you are. This is Nick Nesby's daughter, Nicole. So both of you. And Nicole and Brandon absolutely love your story. And look who's here. Oh, yes. So Blitz is here to congratulate you too. All right, there you go.
One thing, first of all, thank you so much to this beautiful family. So sorry for their loss, but thank you. The last time I was in this building, Sean and I were here. Actually, one of my best friends, Minnie Byers, who we lost this year to cancer. This building holds a lot of memories for us. But the reason I do what I do every day, I could make a lot more money working for another company than Care Partners. Because we're one of the biggest Medicaid communities out there. The reason I do it is because we take care of people who can't afford assisted living. And I get them every day. I work 7 days a week. I work every day because people need us. And I'm the advocate for people who have nowhere to go, who need assisted living, who need memory care, who wouldn't have anybody fighting for them if there weren't people like us. And people like Tracy, and people like Marta, and people who fight every day like Sean used to do. And what people like Suzanne and everybody in this room do to put on events like this to show you guys that there's people out there who care about you. This is the stuff that matters to me. And getting this award, you guys, I feel so humbled because I don't feel like I deserve it. Because what we do, we don't do for recognition. We do because we really do care about people. So, I don't want any more attention today. I'm a little embarrassed.
Okay, time for fun. Please, everyone, have fun and Blitz. And Alonzo.